everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to the Dice Tower as we take a look here at 7 simple games. Some bad, some good. So we're going to just jump right into it. Here we go. We're going to start with Barnyard. This is a little wallet-sized game. Two-player game in which you're building a barn and a yard, well, obviously, and trying to score points. Here's how it plays. In this game, you have a deck of cards. These cards have a barn on one side, the inside of a barn, and the outside with an animal on the other. You put 5 face up like this, 2 here at the bottom. You can play an optional role where each person is a farmer that scores points in various ways. This artwork is not great. Anyhow, on your turn, you are going to pick one of these animals at the bottom and do whatever the action says. Now, the rules say, hey, we're not going to tell you what they are. Go to our website. They're not there, unfortunately. However, they're pretty easy to figure out. I think this says switch any, so I might switch this one and this animal. When I'm done with that, whatever power I used, I'll flip it, put it at the top of the line, and then the bottom of the line will come into my grid that I'm building. Each person is building a 3x3 grid. So let's say, for example, once I put one here, now the width of my grid has been established. Now the height has been established. And at the end of the game, you're going to score points on each of these animals based on what is where. Like this one here gives 1 point per goat. I didn't bother getting any goats, so not very useful. And this is 5 points, but -1 for each haystack. So it's 4 points. So anyhow, whoever has most points is the winner. I really can't forgive the whole idea of go online and look for how these cards work, and then it not being there. And we're talking years later. I even went and made a post on the forum and asked, and no one responded. So that's kind of a bummer. The drafting is okay. The artwork's pretty bad. And there's so many other games that do this one better. I just can't really recommend this. It's a 5 for me. The idea of it's interesting, but it doesn't feel, I would have put some better art into it. I would have maybe put some more things on the cards. This one's a pass. Arbortect, you're building a tree. This is a wallet game. Look, same. And you're going to have 2 cards, a composition and the composition and a construction card in building a tree. Here's how it plays. The game has 18 cards. You're going to pick 2 of the cards randomly, 1 construction and 1 composition. So these are technically like the trunk of your tree, but they're telling you how to build your tree. So this one, for example, says my final tree has to have no blue, red, or purple flowers. And that the final tree height will be exactly 4 times the width of the base. So this is a tall and skinny tree. So you're then going to be playing with these cards here, and there's 16. You're going to have these 2 cards that you can play. So the first one you play like this. After that, you must cover at least 1 section of a tree. You can't rotate the cards, and you can cover at least 1 empty spot. So I might be like, I'm going to try to cover up the purple. But, oh man, I want this to be 4 times as high as I want it to be wide. So I have to keep things like that in mind. So every time you play a card, you'll do them. You can rotate them upside down. Maybe I build it like this. And I'm not saying this is a good build for a tree. See, this one has 3 empty spaces. I can cover with 1 card, at least 1 empty one. I can't place anything here now. I could place something like this. And this is a terrible tree that I'm building. But I'm just showing you that I have to meet these requirements by the time I play all these cards. So I'm playing all the cards, and if I do both requirements at the end of the game, I win. This wallet game is, well, it's basically a solitaire game as you're trying to build this tree here, and I like the looks of it. This game definitely owes a lot to the game Sprawlopolis, because Sprawlopolis is very similar. It's a very popular wallet-sized game in which you have 3 criteria and you're building a city. Here you have 2 criteria. The difference here is you're not going for points. You are just trying to accomplish your criteria. And I get that. That's interesting. It makes for a fun puzzle. I played this one multiple times as a solo game. And I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I wish it looked a little nicer. And especially the backs of the cards, the composition construction, it's just not great how they look. I don't think they're particularly easy to read. But there's some interesting ideas here. It's hard to justify this in a world where Sprawlopolis exists because that is a better game. But like I said, this one is still enjoyable. Loam. So Loam is a game about the creepy crawlies under the earth, and it has some very charming clay artwork in the game. And I like that idea. I don't really like creepy crawlies per se. When you read about this, like there's more creatures in I think they say like 1 inch of soil than humans on Earth. But there's a lot of cool factors of this. Let's take a look at how it plays. This game is 3 turns long. And on a turn, you have these 3 behavior cards, or these 3 cards that you're going to be playing in front of you. And you can pick the order that you play them in front of. First, you'll draw a card, add it to your hand. And then I'll play one. This one says, for example, draw 1 and then place a creature, or place a creature, then grow the soil by 3. So this is the soil here. There are 6 creatures, but I might draw 1 and then place a creature. When I place a creature, I can place a creature from my hand or from out here. Now, placing creatures is the main thing in this game, and you're going to build communities in front of you. Creatures are different types, these colors. They provide different resources. When you put a resources out, you'll move these resources up on your board here, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. And that's it. The rest of it is just mostly for flavor. There's a level on them that goes from 1 to 3, and you need 2 level 1s for each level 2 that you put in there. So I have 2 level 1s and a level 2. I could add another level 1 later on, and another level 1, and then another level 1 if I wanted to. Now that I have 6 level 1s and 2s, I could add a level 3. And then this community would be done. But you can be working on multiple communities at the same time in front of you. And again, these are adding all these resources as you play them. The reason you want to add the resources here is because when you hit 8 on each of these tracks, you will take the card and turn it over. It says draw 1, then place 1 creature. Once the blue is upgraded, now it's draw 2, then place 2 creatures. Or place 2 creatures, then grow the soil by 4. At the end of your turn, you will refill the soil back up to 6 for the next player. There's also behavior cards over here. If you ever put 2 creatures next to each other that have this exact combo, so here a blue and a yellow, I can take this behavior card and put it in my hand. Later on, I can bury one, which gets rid of one of these 2 types from my hand. If I do, I can place 2 creatures. I can save these and play these on a future turn. After 3 turns of this, you're going to be scoring. And you're going to score for each community. Each community will get 1 point for every different type that's in there, plus an extra 2 points if all 6 types are there. You'll get 1 point if you have multiple levels of one. So I have a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3. So I would get 3 points for that. And if I have all 3 levels, I get a bonus of 4 for that. So that's a lot of points. And there's other points based on where you have these trackers here. You're going to be subtracting your highest from your lowest card and scoring points. And that will show you this is your balance points. If your stats are identical, you would get 10 each. So you'll keep track of all of the different scores you have here. You also have the opportunity, if you want to, when playing this game, to be playing in a different climate, which will change some of the rules for the game. And the rule book also comes with a lot of different scenarios that you can play if you're playing solo. And you can even switch out the 3 cards you have for cards that are called signals, which are just different ways to play your 3 actions. Loam is a game which is essentially a solo game. When I first played this, I played it with multiplayers, and I was like, wait a minute, we only get 3 turns, and on your turn, you play a card, and you do this and that, and then you say, and I'll play this card and do that, and that gives me these cards, and everyone else is sitting there going, okay, you can do no forward planning in this game. It says 15 minutes on the box, but with multiple players, it's really longer than that. And if you're playing with more than 2 players, each turn is going to be excruciatingly long, but also each turn doesn't affect the other person other than whatever cards you might leave them when you're done, but that doesn't really matter. So I then tried it solo, and it really shines solo. For solo play, and solo play only, I give this a 7.5. So because there's 2 reasons I don't want to play it multiplayer. One is the very long turns. I mean, they're 3 minutes, but they could be like a 5-minute turn. And so you're waiting while that person does everything. But also, there's a lot of luck involved in the game. The things I might need come out. I might be able to do these behaviors, but this might work out well for me and not for you. And that feels like, But in a solo game, I don't mind because I'm working to it. And I tried the different scenarios. I tried different biodiversity cards in here. And that was fun. It's interesting. It's fun to upgrade your cards, to move along the different tracks. The scoring, you just want to see how high of a score you can get. So it says 1 to 4 players here, 10 to 15 minutes per player. I don't think it's worth, because realize when it says 10 to 15 minutes per player, I don't think it's worth, if I'm in a 4-player game, to add 45 minutes of time I'm not playing. So as a solo game, I recommend this, but that's it. That's Loam. Checkers Hexagonal. So this is from a new company here that is making all sorts of things. We have checkers diagonal, checkers circular, checkers for 4 players. Okay, so checkers hexagonal. That's the review there, but I'll show you what it looks like. The checkers are set up like this. They're not very good quality checkers, by the way. And it's, well, like a checkers game. On your turn, you can move forward 1. If you can jump, you must jump. You must keep jumping. So that would have to happen. This would have to happen. If you get your piece over to the other side of the board, you become a king. Kings can now jump and skip empty spaces. So this king could jump here, and then here, and then here. But it couldn't jump over these 2 pieces because there needs to be an empty space behind them. So kings can pretty much fly, but they cannot jump over their own pieces. They can also move in any direction, while everyone else has to kind of move forward as they go along. And that's the game. The first person to capture all the opponent's pieces or block them wins, where they can't move at all. Or if you repeat the same turn multiple times, you lose because, well, it means you have nothing else to do. I don't actually always know the official rules of checkers because there's so many different things. We've always played that kings can jump over their own pieces, and we never played that they could jump as far in a line as possible. So that's a pretty radical change for how kings work. You definitely want a king in this game because they're uber powerful. Other than that, it's checkers hexagonal. Then take from that what you will. I think it's fine. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Chess 90 degrees. Yes, that's exactly what you might think. This is a chess game where instead of being across from each other, you're 90 degrees across the table. They also make chess circular, chess diamond, and cross chess. This one sounded the most interesting to me, so this is the one I tried. Yeah, here's how it plays. There's really not a lot to say here because, as you can see, this is a 90-degree chessboard. You can't attack with these diagonal pawns. Once they're out, it's all fair game. This one could attack this one, I suppose. But there is no, in this version, there's no en passant and no castling allowed. And if your pawn gets to their side, that's how they upgrade. They just have to get to the other side where they're at. Other than that, every rule for chess is pretty much the same. The game comes with the changes here, and then on the other side, they tell you how to play normal chess. Checkmate the other king, or stalemate. And yeah, this is very little difference other than the 90 degrees. Now, obviously, if you're a chess gamer, you would sit there and go, everything is different now. Sure, and I get that. But it feels very similar. There's a little bit of interesting things about how your pieces are sliding in. And I don't know if it's better to have the person to your right or to your left. Who knows? There's probably some advantage in there. If you like chess, this will be an amusing variant for you. If you don't like chess, this isn't going to change your mind. I think chess is fine. So I give this one a 6 out of 10. I didn't dislike it, but it's fine. Chess, 90 degrees. Uno Quatro. So they're always trying to mix things. Mattel said, hey, let's mix Connect 4 with Uno. That sounds like a bad idea, but wait, it is. Let me show you. In this game, you are trying to get 4 tiles in a row, horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. And you are doing that by placing them in here. You're going to have a hand of 3 tiles in front of you, and on your turn, you simply drop a tile down in one of these. Now, some tiles have special abilities, so that one I just showed you is a push. If you drop a push in, you just push down, and the bottom tile that comes out gets thrown back in the bag. If you drop a -2 in, by the way, whenever you drop a tile in, it needs to be adjacent to the same color. This one's adjacent diagonally, or same number. But this means the next person has 2 of their tiles randomly taken away, so they have to play a 3rd one. If you can't play a tile, by the way, then you have to, if you can't play a tile, then you have to draw one from the bag. If you can't play that one, well, then your turn ends. This one here, which was not legally allowed to be put here, there we put it, must be, lets you take out these and switch 2 of them. And these come in and out pretty simply. And that's it. Those are the 3 kinds of special tiles. And that's what you do. The first person to get any tile in a row, 4 tiles in a row, wins the game. I think Uno Quattro, I think the components are pretty nice. Sliding those pieces in, I think the abilities are cool. The problem with this game is the winning condition. See, most Connect 4 type games, or any tic-tac-toe-esque games, require me to get 4 of my color in a row, or 4 of my shape in a row. That's what Connect 4 is. get red checkers in a row or black checkers in a row. This, if I get 3 in a row, you win by getting 4 in a row. And that itself just ruins the game, unfortunately. There's got to be a better win condition. It almost feels like this wasn't play tested at all. So I cannot recommend it. 5 out of 10. I don't like this one. Monopoly Chance. Yes, look at that. A mini board with cards and there's chance. But I mean, which I think is ironic. It's almost as if they don't realize that Monopoly is a game of chance. But let's take a look. It says plays in about 20 minutes. In this game, there's a board, but the board itself doesn't really, you don't move around the board. Instead, you're going to have a deck of cards. On your turn, you roll a die. If you roll the question mark, you'll draw a chance card, which will do something randomly, and you'll roll again. But eventually, you'll get a number. So let's say I roll a 6. That means I can draw up to 6 cards from my deck. So you're going to be drawing, and there's a lot of money cards in your deck. If you draw a bankrupt, though, you bust. There's 4 of these in your deck. So you can stop anytime you want. When you stop, you'll take the numbers that are on these, and you can place them on the board as long as it's higher than the number already there. So I have a 9 million. I might place that one here. I might place the 5 here, and the 6 here. That means I'm winning those spots. But someone else might play a higher number than me later on. When all the spots are filled up at the end of a round, when they're all filled up, the round will end, and players are going to take the building that they're winning and put them here. The first person to get to this arrow is going to win. So getting these bigger buildings like Boardwalk will help you get there faster, but if you also get the same building twice of the same color, you'll get a bonus little building that can be added to this. There's other cards that are in your deck. There's a lucky break. If you draw that, you can cancel a bankrupt. Flip 2, you can save this card and play it on someone else to draw 2 more cards. The playing piece of your card, you put this on one of the corners and you can do whatever it says, like play a card from your discard pile, your draw pile, put a card in any property, which will let me, put a card on top of something that I normally couldn't put one on, or remove a card from the board. And then there's these nope cards, which will cancel someone else going on your property. And then these chance cards, which could make you lose a turn, things like that. These are kind of the wildest card of the deck. But like I said, once someone fills their board up to this thing, the game is over and that person wins. Okay, the time length for this is 20 minutes, but it could be closer to 30. It all depends. I like this game. I wasn't expecting to like a Monopoly game because the last 5 Monopoly games have all been terrible. Bad. They're just awful. Now, this one has a few problems with it. The chance cards are awful. I would almost eliminate those from the game, I think. Like the one that says, make the next person lose a turn. What? Come on. That doesn't even affect you. You just like the next person loses a turn. In this game, turns are fun. And also the one that makes you shuffle all the bankrupts back in the deck. That's not fun if you draw your bankrupts quickly, because that happens sometimes. Like the first card's a bankrupt. On the next turn, the first card's a bankrupt. In the normal game, not a big deal, because that means as I go through my deck now, I have less bankrupts. That's interesting. That's a cool thing. So those chance cards are just trash. So other than that, though, I enjoyed it. I give it a 7 because it's fast. The pieces are good. You stack them in a row. I like that. I like the idea of putting the money on top of each other. It reminds me of an older game from the same company, eBay, the electronic game, where you put bids on top of each other. I would have had maybe smaller cards, and I feel like this game could be a really good game with some development I've done to it. But it's inoffensive, it's fast, it's interesting, and if you like Monopoly, it's a nice spin-off of it. So definitely I was surprised by my enjoyment of this one. And there you go, folks. That is 7 different games. Small, big, old, new. I'm Tom Vasel, and we'll see you next time on the Dice Tower.